Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Becca and today I have my January book haul. So in January I didn't acquire quite as many books as I usually do, but I do still have enough to make a book haul for you guys. So as usual, this is going to be split into sections. We will have my library books, the books that I bought secondhand, and the books that I bought new this month. So let's just get straight into it, starting with the library book. So the first library book I picked up this month was The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski, who is the author of the Witcher series. I've been dying to read this series for so long, but I've been trying to pick them up secondhand, and I managed to pick up the first book from the library, so I'm really excited to get into this. It is a little bit thicker than I thought it was going to be, and the text is tiny, and it is a mass market paperback. Not sure if I'm going to get to this in February, but I definitely will get to it soon. I know that Elliot Brooks is hosting a read-along of this, and I may try and catch up, but be just like a little bit behind. But for those of you that don't know, this follows Geralt of Rivia, who is a monster hunter, and I'm not sure like what aspects of his life it follows, but it generally just follows him and the things he gets up to. I also picked up a novella bind-up by Brandon Sanderson that contains both Legion and The Emperor's Soul. Now, I picked this up in particular because I believe that The Emperor's Soul is an Elantris novella, which is the only Brandon Sanderson book that I have read so far. So I was particularly interested in that because I kind of want to wrap up all the novellas to do with Elantris before I move on to Mistborn. And Legion, I think it's kind of like a supernatural sci-fi detective type novella, but it has now turned into a series and there are quite a few parts. So when I read this, I am going to have to try and get my hands on the rest of the novellas in that collection so I can finish up that series. I also have An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard, which has been spoke very highly of by Murphy Napier, who I don't have the exact same taste as, but I do trust a lot of her opinions. However, this has also received negative reviews from some other people that I really trust, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to feel going into it. I do expect to enjoy this because the things that Murphy said about it are things that I really enjoy, but I also know that as it is an urban standalone fantasy, there is not going to be a lot of world building in here, and I know especially that it throws you right in, so that could completely kill it for me. I'm not entirely sure on the plot of this, but what I do know is that it follows a sort of magical competition as the magical houses of New York City come together to have a magical tournament that will decide which family will rule over the rest of the magical houses. I only picked up 2 secondhand books this month, and they are both books in the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. So this is the, I think Blood of Elves is the second one, and Time of Contempt is the third or the fourth. I do also own like the 6th book in this series that I've picked up secondhand because it's so expansive. If I find them in charity shops, I am just picking them up, even though I can't necessarily read them yet. But now that I have the first book from the library, I am excited to get started on this series, and now I have a few installments that I can power through as well. As for the new books that I've purchased in January, the first one is The Girl King by Mimi Yu. Now, if you watch my most anticipated releases of 2019 video, you will know that I said that I wasn't necessarily going to be buying every single Asian fantasy that hits the shelves this year, but I have already fucked that up, haven't I? So this is The Girl King, and it says 2 sisters, 1 crown, and it is about 2 sisters who are princesses to the Empire. One of them is destined to be the first female emperor or empress of the land, and the other one will live in her shadow. However, their father throws them a curveball and decides that their male cousin is going to be the emperor instead, and where it goes from there I'm not entirely sure. I have heard some really good things about this. It is an adult fantasy, which is something that I love. The cover is beautiful. The one problem I have with it is that it's £11 and it's a standard paperback. Can somebody tell me why? Because I really don't know. I've been trying to step outside of my comfort zone recently, so I picked up some manga, the first one being Death Note by Tsugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata. Now, I'm pretty sure a few of you will be a lot more familiar with Death Note than I am, but a while back I did watch one of the adaptations of this and really enjoyed it. So when I wanted to try manga, I thought that this would be a really good place for me to start when I know that I like the storyline. And this follows a guy that, correct me if this isn't quite right, but he finds a diary or a book, and if he writes the name of somebody in that diary, then they get killed. So really interesting premise. I know I already enjoy the storyline, so I'm excited to see if I enjoy it in the manga format. As the manga was on a 3 for 2 offer, I also picked up Resident Evil The Mahawa Desire by Naoki Sarazawa, and the concept is of course by Capcom. I really enjoy the Resident Evil video game, so once again, as I was trying to get into manga but not really knowing where to start, I picked a fandom that I am already familiar with because Obviously, if I know the characters and like the background of the world, then it'll be a lot easier for me to get to grips with. So I'm really excited to try out this one. It is the shortest of the 3 that I bought, but I'm really hyped because I actually love the art in this and I absolutely adore Resident Evil. The last manga that I picked up I have actually read, and you will see it in my January wrap up, but that is Goyo by Junji Ito. Now Junji Ito is the king of horror manga, I believe, and when I went into the comic book store I was actually looking for Uzumaki, but they didn't have it in stock, so I did get this one. And this follows fish with mechanical legs that start to come onto shore in the island of, is it Okinawa? And they slowly start to take over the country of Japan. Now while that premise isn't like utterly terrifying, it does have a bit of a sick twist that definitely gives you the creep factor. I know that Junji Ito has 2 other horror work, one of which is Uzumaki and the other is Tomi, and I am excited to pick those up at some point in the future because the premises of the other 2 are much more interesting to me. But I'm happy that this was my first foray into manga and it was enjoyable. And the last book that I picked up in January you will also see in my January wrap up, and that is Isola by Brendan Fletcher and Carl Kerschel. This is the first volume in a new graphic novel series. I have an exclusive traveling man cover, so if you find it in your comic book store it won't have the same cover as this. This is a high fantasy adult graphic novel volume that follows this guy who is trying to get his queen to the mythical land of Isola because a curse has been put upon her that he would like to have lifted. The art style in this is absolutely beautiful, which is what drew me to it. That, and also the fact that it has a blue glowy tiger on the front, because why wouldn't I want that? That's all I'm pretty much going to say on it, because like I said, you will see my full thoughts in my January wrap up. So that is all for this month's book haul. You guys may have noticed it is quite a small one from me, but I am trying to be a little bit better about the books that I buy because my shelves are kind of full and I have a few things that I would like to work through before I start bringing new books in. But please let me know if you have read any of the books that I have hauled this month and let me know what you thought of them. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to, and if you head to my description box you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish body butter and candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.